Here are our questions. Which amendment states that the same crime cannot be tried twice? The last time we talked about the amendments, we talked about how some of them protect our rights, even if we've been accused of committing a crime or anything like that. So one of the amendments, one of the things that it helps to protect is that if they accuse you of committing a crime and they go to court, like we said, we have to go to court. There has to be a jury and a judge, and they have to give evidence why they think it's you that did it. If after all of that, the jury hears all the evidence, all the proof, and at the end they go, no, I don't think they did it. I think they're innocent. They can't just keep arresting you for the same thing over and over again, the same crime over and over again, and trying to convince new people that you're the one who did it. So once they have that trial, and if the jury says, no, you're innocent, you didn't commit the crime, they can't just keep accusing you of the exact same crime. That doesn't mean you can go out and break other laws. It just means you can't keep getting accused of that exact same crime. So if they say that you're the one who, I don't know, robbed the jewelry store and you stole, I don't know, let's say a blue diamond or something like that. They take you to court and they hear all the evidence and the jury goes, no, I don't think it was them. I think they're innocent. They can't arrest you right afterwards and go, you still stole the blue diamond and we're going to try again. Now, if they think you stole something else, they can still arrest you for that. They can still put you on trial for that. But that's for a different thing that they think that you might have stolen. Which amendment states that the same crime cannot be tried twice? Is it the first, the fourth, the fifth, or the 10th? Next question, which amendment states that no soldier can room in a house without permission? When it says that they can room in a house, what it means is that no soldier can just go and live in a house or stay in a house without getting permission from the people that live there first. Is that the first, the third, the fifth, or the 10th? Next question, which amendment gives freedom of religion? Freedom of religion means that you can be whatever religion you want. You don't have to pick this religion or that religion. Is that the first? What, Nakai? Well, we'll see when we read it. We'll see if maybe they used a different word for it. So which amendment gives the freedom of religion? The first, the fourth, the fifth, or the 10th? Next question. What was the author trying to do in writing this passage? So they want to know the author's purpose. Was it to entertain the reader by telling stories about James Madison? Was it to entertain the reader by making jokes about citizens' rights? Was it to persuade the readers that citizens do not need rights? Or was it to inform the reader about the Bill of Rights? The last question, which amendment guarantees the right to bear arms to citizens? When they say bear arms, that means that they have the right to own guns. Doesn't mean actual bears, like earlier. This one's about which amendment makes it so that people can have guns. Is that the second, the fourth, the fifth, or the 10th? And we're going to go ahead and read what they have to say about the Bill of Rights. We're going to make sure that we're thinking about those questions as we read so we can try to find our answers. The Bill of Rights is incredibly important. Every person living in the United States has the protection of these rights. Actually, I'm going to zoom in on mine. See it a little bit. Every person living in the United States has the protection of these rights. The Bill of Rights is another name for the first 10 amendments of the United States Constitution. The Bill of Rights guarantees a number of personal freedoms. They limit the government's power. Many were against signing the Constitution. They wanted to include the Bill of Rights first. When they were coming up with how our government should work, people wanted to make sure that there was something that would protect people's rights. We had talked before about how they really didn't like the king and the way the king ran things. So this was kind of their way of making sure they wouldn't end up in the same situation. James Madison introduced the first 10 amendments to the United States Constitution to the First Continental Congress. They were adopted by the House of Representatives in August of 1789. So he presented the list. He said, these are the 10 things that we think we should start off with, 10 things that we need to protect everyone's rights. And they agreed, and they officially adopted them or decided to start using them in August of 1789. The First Amendment gives citizens in the United States freedom of religion. It also gives citizens the right to free speech. It also allows people to meet peacefully in groups. That First Amendment does quite a lot, and there's even more that isn't in here. So it does give freedom of religion, it gives freedom of speech, freedom to assemble in groups. It gives freedom of the press, which means the newspapers can investigate things and they can publish the truth to people so they know what's going on. It also gives people the right to petition. They can tell the government if they don't like something or if they want something changed. The Second Amendment guarantees the right to bear arms by citizens. It allows people to carry guns to hunt. It also allows people to defend themselves. So this was a big one because remember, when they were first part of England, they didn't like the way the king was running things. If the king wanted to, he could just say, well, you're all not allowed to have guns anymore. And then when the soldiers came and they tried to arrest people or detain people for breaking these laws that the king made, they wouldn't be able to kind of fight back against these laws that they thought were unfair. The Third Amendment guarantees that no soldier can room in a person's home. They have to have their permission given first. So before, if the soldiers who worked for the king would just show up at your house, they could just kind of like knock on your door and you'd open it up and they'd say, hey, I'm going to stay here for the next couple of days. What do you have to eat? They would just walk in and you really couldn't kick them out. Now they have to ask and say, hey, is it okay? Can we stay here? And you can tell them yes, and then they can stay. Or you can tell them, no, I don't really know you. I don't feel comfortable with that, and they can't stay there. Amendment 4 guarantees the freedom from searches. Searches have to make sense. We talked about this one too. If the police think you did something, they can't just go and look through your stuff because you live on that street. They have to go, oh, well, you know what? Someone, let's say someone stole someone else's dog and they hear barking coming from your backyard. They might go, oh, maybe the dog is there. Or if they say somebody stole a bunch of jewelry, a bunch of diamonds, and they see you walking out of your house and you've got a bunch of new diamond rings and earrings and necklaces and stuff like that, they might go, I don't know, that seems kind of suspicious. All these diamonds go missing, and all of a sudden you've got diamond rings and diamond earrings and diamond necklaces and diamond shoes, whatever else you might have. Government agencies have to obtain a warrant, a document provided by a judge permitting search of property to search a person's possessions. The Fifth Amendment means that the same crime cannot be tried twice. A person can refuse to answer a question. They can refuse. They can refuse if it will get them into trouble. So, with the Fifth Amendment, once you have been accused of a crime, they think you're the one who stole the diamonds or who stole the dog, whatever it might be. They're going to ask you questions. Where'd you get the dog from? Where did you get those diamonds from? If you think that answering those questions will get you into trouble, you don't have to answer them. So you can just not answer the questions they ask you. Also, it's making sure that if they thought that you stole, let's say you stole the dog, That they can't keep just accusing you. You stole the dog. You stole the dog. If they can't prove it, they can't just keep saying that. The Sixth Amendment states that if you commit a crime and are arrested, you have the right to have representation, which is a lawyer. The lawyer has to be there to help you prove that you're innocent. The Seventh Amendment guarantees that guarantees someone that if they have committed a crime, they can have a trial that has a jury, a group of people who hear the case. So they can't just say that you did it and then take you to a judge and the judge just goes, yep, you did it. You're going to jail. They have to have a trial. There has to be a jury. So a group of people has to be there. They have to hear all the proof, all the evidence they have that it was you who stole the dog or stole the diamonds, whatever it was. And they have to decide, well, did they really do it? Or does the proof not make sense? The Eighth Amendment guarantees that someone will not get cruel and unusual punishment if they are convicted or proven guilty of a crime. So that's like what we talked about. If you let's say forget to pick up your room, and then mom or dad tells you you forgot to pick up your room one time, you're grounded for 1,000,000 years. 1,000,000 years is a little bit of a long time to be grounded for forgetting to pick up your room one time. So whatever punishment you get has to make sense for whatever you did. You can't get a super huge punishment for a super little crime. The Ninth Amendment means that nothing written in the Constitution can be used to cancel amendments to it. So again, they didn't want to have to sit down and write down every single thing that needs to be protected. Just because the Constitution says or doesn't say that something is protected or that you need to have something doesn't mean that you don't need to have it or that they can get rid of it. 10th Amendment means that anything the Constitution does not mention can be considered by states as part of their powers if they wish to do so. So this one, if the Constitution doesn't say that the federal government, the government of the United States, has to do something, then each individual state, like Texas or Georgia or Florida or California, they get to make that decision about what to do. So some of the decisions are made by the whole government, the federal government. Some decisions are made by the states. Now that we've read both, I want you to go ahead, answer those 5 questions. Make sure you're looking back at the story so that you can find your proof. You can make sure that your answers are correct. When you finish with that, I want you to go ahead and turn your work in.